Hello, everybody. Welcome to Silent Podcast, the place to everything but silent. I'm your host, Isaiah, back with Bounce Check to talk Big Brother Canada 11 once again. I'm your host, Isaiah Ken, and I'm with my panelist, Katie. Katie, what's going on today?
Not too much. It's been like a crazy Friday in my actual real life, so I'm here. I'm looking like a mess, but I'm here and I'm excited to be here.
All right, we actually have a very special guest. We got Jessica from BB21, and also amazing podcast. What's the name of the podcast, Jessica? I want to
G
blew my mind.
it's GLATD. It says it's girl. Let's agree to disagree. But for me,
Mhm.
the G is girl or guy. So we're trying to
Hmm.
just change it to the GLATD. So
Yeah, I saw the one episode with Andrew. I'm like, all right, wait a minute. They changing it up a little bit.
Yeah,
You
you
know what
guys
I'm
have like
saying?
rotating hosts, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes, or
yeah,
like
we
different panelists.
do. A
Nice.
majority of the time, it's myself and Braden White from BB Canada
Nice.
9. So, uh, and then we just have rotating co guests. So
Love that.
co-hosts.
Okay. But we are here to talk week nine. We are coming down to the wire. We're at the final four officially. Like the game's done next week, so it's gonna be crazy. Jessica, I'm curious, how are you feeling about the season so far? What's the vibe? What's going on?
The vibe is mess. It's absolute chaotic mess. I'm here for it. I think I think I knew, or well, a lot of us knew that it was going to be a chaotic, messy cast. Probably not too much gameplay because not a lot of them were, were gamers in a sense, and a lot of them were probably either recruits or did not watch much of prior seasons. So I think we were all just going in, especially me, going in with like an open mind, knowing that we probably weren't going to get the best strategy, but because of everybody that was in there, we were going to get some good TV. And I think we got that. I think it's been a really great season, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's kept me very entertained. I've been fighting for it a little bit, but like I like messy Big Brother, and this is giving me messy Big Brother. So
So much.
I've been cool with it. But this week was also pretty eventful. Shockingly, the tie train is still going strong.
Mhm.
Uh, Katie, how you feel about this week?
I mean, I, how do I feel about this week? I don't even really know what to say. I feel like it's just Ty's game at this point. I think, our interview with Renee is not up yet, but even she said that Ty would probably have her vote at the end. I think that's the last, four jurors, three
Yeah.
jurors, at least four jurors that said that they probably were going to vote for Ty at the end if he continued playing the way that he's playing. So it's his to lose at this point. And spoiler for this week, but we did see that Ty also won the Final Four HOH. So he's guaranteed to be in the Final Three. Like he's there. So I don't really see anybody that's going to beat him. He's a competition beast, both mental, physical. Like he could do it all. So, you know, this week, I think Anika probably maybe misplayed her hand a little bit once again, the same way that Claudia did. And if she really wanted to get Ty out and have any shot to win at the end, she should have put him on the block. So he would have had to use a veto on himself.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna ask about that. So obviously, we see Anika winning her first competition. By the way, in seconds, that was
17
really.
seconds.
Yay, 17 seconds. She broke the record, y'all. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. But yeah, she won it, and she didn't put tie up originally. We did see on the dailies last week. She was talking about how has to go. It felt like she kind of repeated the mistake that happened last week, where it's like, all right, if Ty wins, obviously, like whatever, but you want to at least put him on the block. So if he uses the veto, it's on himself, and you're not giving him the opportunity to like completely mess your plans up. Um, Jessica, I mean, look, you won one of the most iconic comps in Big Brother history, in my opinion. You had an amazing HOH run.
Iconic HOH.
Thank you.
But how did you feel about this whole thing? Like should she have put Ty up, or did she do this right?
No, absolutely. Everybody should have put Ty up once again and again and again and again and again until he was out. Like, I think the problem that people make is, or like just players in general, is that they play scared. And I get it. Sometimes you have to kind of dial it down a notch when you're talking strategy and trying to figure out how you're going to win. But what would you rather do? At this point, it's either you're playing for second because you know this man's going to win anyway because you're going to let him, or you're going to go out swinging and keep on putting him up because you're not going to win anyway if he's there. So you're kind of damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. At this point, I just think that Ty has made it a point that he is a big comp threat, right? He is a big comp threat. I don't think that socially he's anything to be admired of, so but somehow he has a chokehold on these gamers, on these players, and it's very interesting to watch. I mean, I know firsthand by being in the house and also meeting some of these number one players, like the people who have won the game, or just people that have gone far, have amazing charm and personality and like a gift when you actually meet them in real life. So I think that's something that we're missing to see. Maybe there is something about Ty that just charms the pants out of them. I don't know what it is at this point, because I personally don't see it. I like get him on the block. But yeah, I do think that they've been playing scared. I think Anika definitely should have put him up. But I also don't think she was thinking, I don't think she was even paying attention to what was happening in the double eviction. I don't know what goes on in a person's head when they say, oh, well, they did it to their showmans and look what he did to her HOH, but he would never do it to me. That to me is like, I cannot understand. So in this case, I'm mind blown. I agree. It's Ty's game to lose. And unfortunately, whether I want him in that final three or not, he will be there. And more than likely, he will win because he's the comp beast and he'll probably have the chance to bring whoever he wants in that final two chair and he'll beat them.
And we saw Daniel say that, right, Jessica? Like we saw him say, like, he's not listening to the girl that he sleeps in bed with. Why is he going to listen to you and not do what you don't want him to do? Like, of course he's going to do whatever he wants. They gave Ty all of the power. The veto at this point is almost the most important position to have especially if you're not on the block and you win the veto. It's like there's only one person that can go up, and you're one of two votes. Like he had all of this was Ty's week. This was not Anika's week. This was Ty's week.
Yeah, I agree.
Great.
Before I even move on, what kind of stress goes into making a decision like that? Like, do you worry about the backlash, or like what is the thought process before you make a huge move like that without worrying about everyone else's mindset?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it really depends on the week that you're trying to take out a big threat, right? And in this case, they're so down to the wire that it's like, if I put Ty up, that means I'm against him and he's automatically coming after me next. So I think that's the mentality here. Had it been a little bit earlier on, like a week that Claudia won and she put him on the block, it might not be that bad. Actually, that's still a little late in the game too. Mm-hmm. They all should have put him up, but I don't know. Like, you look at basically how workable they are. Like, can I work with this person? Because I remember in my HOH, my cleared target was Jack and not Jackson. And Jackson was the comp. I mean, they were both comp beasts in their own right. But at the point that I did it, Jackson was massively disliked in the house. Jack was kind of the boy that everybody, wanted to he had so much more socially going on with everybody. And he was the only person I could not work with. It was very clear that we were not going to work together. So I needed him out because in my mind, Jackson was going to be the next person up because everybody hated him. But look, it's very much the same. It gives me a little bit of, kind of, it triggers me a little bit because I see a lot of similarities here in the gameplay between, Mickey and Ty, purely on gameplay. But it is that worry. It's like people want to be able to work with the biggest comp beast because then they feel protected. But again, playing for second. You're not really playing to win.
Mm-hmm.
It was really interesting. I mean, we're jumping ahead, but obviously Katie said he's the new HOH. There was a clip where he's just like in his HOH room eating, and everyone's just like circle around Ty, like King Ty right now. I was just like, wow, like the dynamics is just so crazy. How like the guy goes from like completely almost walking out the game to like potentially winning the season. Just mind blowing.
I think
But
the craziest thing, Isaiah, too, is that like, what was it, 3 weeks ago that everybody was like, no matter what, we're getting Ty out. Like, I don't
yeah,
even care. We all have to go for the veto. We have to get out Ty. And then as soon as Kuzi's out of the house, Ty's like the hottest commodity. Everyone's like, no, Ty, work with us. No, Ty, work with us. No, we want you, Ty. No, we. And he just has all of the decision power in the house. He can decide, do I want to go with the girls? Do I want to go with Anika and Daniel? Do I want to just do my own thing? Do I want to switch it up every week? I could just do whatever I want because I'm winning every competition. And all of these people want to work with me, so no one's putting me on the block. It's just, I mean, he's walking his way to the end.
yeah. I mean, so I firmly believe that like if Ty was an option, come like an eviction night, everybody's going to vote him out. Obviously, he's not, but it's interesting. Like, I think after the whole Zach blow up week, like people are like, let's use Ty as a shield, and then like push him towards like the end game. It's kind of crazy that like it almost reversed, not by his own volition, but like Claudia was like, I'm going to weaponize Ty, and she kind of actually ended up messing her own position up, and he actually got into the better light. We also have Kuzi here. She's like, I'm going to weaponize Ty and make him the shield. And it kind of flipped, and then Kuzi went home instead, and she became the bigger target. It's like these people who are like the social players, they end up becoming the shield because they can't get the Ty out. Like Ty is never an option at the end. They can't really control him. And I just kind of wonder, like, if you can't, like, there's a difference between like a Ty and then like let's just say Fessy for example, like a person that can win comps and you can control their moves and tell them what to do. Boom, like that's the ideal situation. It's not good to have that person who can win the comps and you can't control them. I think of like Frank from like Big Brother 14 or something. It's like they have their own mind at the end of the day. You can say Jackson as well. It's like it's dangerous. You're playing with fire there. So watching him make it this far is very interesting. A lot of people on social media, I will say, was like, he's only going to win the physical comps. He can't win anything mental. He's showing that he can win
He's
mental
winning
too.
everything.
Yeah.
He won days. Does
Yeah.
he even know?
Very
I mean, he won a
surprising.
days comp.
Yeah.
And we have one of the only really big fans in the house playing the comp, Daniel. And Daniel, we saw him really flop on the second question. So it's really surprising. I'm shocked that he won the days competition.
Yeah, I think he's one of the best competitors I've seen in a very long time. Like, I do gotta give him his credit there. But
Is he though? Is he the best competitor, or
I'm not
is he
saying
just
the
in a
best.
house, or is he
No.
just in a house
That's a
of
good
non-competitors?
Notice I said one of. I can't confirm the but like this is a very cracked season, But
Very.
yeah, and I feel that. So I want to talk about some of the other people. I guess we can talk about Renee since she's out the house now. Where did Renee go wrong in your opinion, Katie?
Honestly, I don't know if it's where Renee necessarily went. I think she probably could have worked with Kuzi a little more, maybe not put Kuzi up on the block that week and put someone else up that was maybe a little less of a big move, which I do like a big move, especially for someone that doesn't play well in competitions. But I feel like Kuzi maybe could have actually been an ally for her, especially if, well, I just don't think Renee would have ever turned on Claudia. And I think that's maybe her blind spot. I think Claudia was her blind spot, and that's maybe where she went wrong in being so looped in with the girly pops, where Shania was not really that much of a game asset. I know that they were friends, but she did win a veto. She did take her off the block. That was great. But other than that, I don't, did she add a lot? I don't really know. I just think she needed some stronger allies and some stronger social connections outside of that group, and she just didn't really have it.
How you feel, Jess?
Yeah, I can see that, and I agree with that. I think, at this point, Renee was pretty much damned if you do, damned if you don't. I think in the beginning of the season, crazy enough, because we weren't able to really see it on the dailies. And of course, we had no live feeds, but it was very interesting to see how some of these house guests looked at Renee as this big threat, and I'm just like, where are they seeing this? The girl is literally dead last and is like, we're not seeing much of this gameplay. But after seeing this week in particular, I kind of understood that Renee is very, very smart cookie, and she had it strategically to a point. I think her biggest mistake being that she knew how Big Brother was set up more than some of the other house guests, that she didn't go in coaching Claudia more about what was going to happen in this, during her HOH, during this double eviction, because she, it was just very black and white for me. It's just kind of, hey, if you don't put up Ty and he wins, he has to, do you trust him enough to be able to do what you, would you be able to trust him to do what you want to do with with this veto? And if not, one of us is going to go home. You're putting the girly pops in danger. And I don't know if she said it. Obviously, we didn't see it in anything. It would have been a great question to ask, in sense of like, did you think you were in this kind of danger, and did you talk to Claudia about this? Because I don't think Claudia was thinking about that. I don't think anybody was really thinking about, I mean, Anika didn't even think about that. It's like, girl, how are you not putting, this man up, knowing that he did this to Claudia, and knowing that you could have Daniel potentially go home, who is your number one. So I think that's probably Renee's biggest thing, is just not being able to really talk strategy with her girls. But is that her problem, or was it the girly pops as a whole? Because like you said, Katie, one of them's not really playing. Like Shania wasn't really there as a player per se. And Claudia was just so, I mean, she just had love goggles. I don't know what kind of goggles, but she had some goggles on, some blinds to whatever Ty wanted. So she probably just needed several different alliances.
Yeah, I think she had to spread herself out a little bit. And we talked to her today in her exit interview, and she, I will say, came off so much more strategic than we ever saw on the show with some of the answers that she gave us. And we only had 10 minutes with her, but I was thoroughly impressed with the way that she was just thinking through her answers. And I was like, I just wish we saw this more in the house or on the show, because she actually really impressed me. She has a very good understanding of the game. That's very clear, even just by talking to her for 10 minutes. So it just seems like maybe that's what, especially in the beginning, some of the guys saw, but we didn't unfortunately get to see it. I do wish she just didn't have those friendship blinders on with the girls and spread herself out a little more, because I think she really could have, and maybe was better at competitions. I think she needed to be better at comps, unfortunately.
All right. Renee, I've always felt like she had like a good mind for the game, especially like in the beginning stages, but I just don't think she was able to ever really recover after that Invisible Paymaster League. It was just a wrap, but what are you gonna do? But okay, so we can chat about some of the people left in the game. We already kind of talked about Ty, so I'm gonna skip over him. Then we kind of give him his moment, but we could talk about the previous HOH a little bit more. And I guess, her partner, Anika and Daniel, they're kind of like a package deal at this point. But we did focus on Anika for the most part. So let's talk about Daniel next. What's his play? Because I felt like, if you asked me 2 to 3 weeks ago, I'm like, all right, Daniel is in a great position to maybe like win this season no matter what. Like, I thought that obviously he was throwing comps. But strategically, I think that everyone liked them. I thought that the crown pack was really the thing to like push him up ahead of everybody. But now with that koozie influence, with like seeing him not do that good in the days comp, seeing him rub some people the wrong way, I'm just like, is Daniel really going to win the season right now? I'm not too sure. I'm kind of worried for him. Like, if anyone sits next to Ty, they're in danger. And I think Ty, if he had a choice, I mean, he hasn't said anything, but I feel like if he had a choice, he would sit next to Daniel right now. I don't know if that's the incorrect read, just because I don't think he thinks that Daniel can beat him in anything. Daniel obviously would like to take Anika, but like, if the Anika HOH didn't show anything, like, he clearly doesn't have a big grasp on Anika. He didn't really agree with her initial move, and he felt kind of irritated by that. And Claudia, like, I don't think Claudia would necessarily take Daniel to the end either. I think that her among the rest of the jury doesn't really care too much for Anika's game. So I don't know how to feel about Daniel, guys. Like is Daniel screwed, or does he still have a winning chance? How do you feel, Jess?
It breaks my heart. I just, I want to be very transparent and say that Daniel has been my number one pick since pre, like cast assessments. He's my number one for my draft. I don't think I'm going to win, unfortunately. But I agree with all of those things. I think in the beginning, he was a very strong contender. I know we didn't see him a lot in the beginning weeks in terms of, gameplay in the dailies or even in the episodes. He was kind of laying low, which I was really expecting because this is a marathon. It's not a race, right? However, where he's at right now, this is going to kind of tie back to what I said about Renee. I feel the same way about Daniel. He's also one that is very, very aware of the game. He's like the super fan, if not in there, is the biggest super fan. If we know anything about Daniel's history, he plays orgs, he's been in sequester, he's done all of these things. He's a very strategic thinker. So it's very insanely surprised that he let Anika not put Ty on the block during her HOH. His big miss. I think it was the biggest miss that he could have done in not fighting and not talking more to Anika about why Ty needed to be on the block. Actually, more so for his game as well, because it would be more blood on Anika's hands, and Ty would be upset at Anika, not as much as with Daniel. So I feel like that was a big miss, a big, big miss. Do I think that Ty would take him? Yes. I was hoping he was going to win HOH, and then we realized, well, maybe he doesn't know his days as much as we thought. I thought he had this in the bag, and I was like, yes. It really comes down to the veto, right? Which at this point, like, would he win the veto? I don't know. He's been very, well, I guess stronger. He's always been second in a lot of these competitions next to Ty, but Ty's still there. So I don't think that Ty would take him. I think Ty would take Claudia. I think Ty sees it as like there's still a lot of Crown members there, and even though the influence that Kuzi might have on the jury, it might not be that strong as we saw in in this last what was it, this last jury segment where she looked absolutely miserable and everybody was just like, talking away. But Daniel, unfortunately, I see him as a third. I would want to see him in second, but even with second, I really don't think, unless the only way I would see him winning is if he wins if he wins the veto and he takes out Claudia, is the only way. But then I think that, Ty would probably maybe win those final threes and then take Anika with him. So however you look at it, I think that he would be third.
Yeah, he's kind of in that, if we're giving comparisons to 21 this season, he's kind of like in that Tommy position a little bit, where I'm like, the guy, not many people dislike him, a lot of allies, very passive. That's the issue, passive. I think that he's unfortunately, like Tommy, was in a great alliance and just like let his allies kind of go every round and didn't really do anything to stop it. He's kind of like, as long as it's not me, I don't care. He's doing that Sandra stuff. That's nice in certain circumstances, but I think that playing too passively, especially in this season at this point in the game, it's not going to fly. And I feel like the more he does it, the more the jury's going to feel some type of way. Like, I think Hope and Jonathan could have been like locks for him, maybe, but like, if Kuzi keeps pushing this narrative, like who knows at this point, Like, I don't know if Daniel has what it takes to really like flip his situation around. Maybe if Ty leaves and he sits next to the right person, like if he sits next to Anika, cool. Like maybe he can win. But like Claudia or Ty right now, like there's no shot. And unless you guys magically start winning competitions every week, like it's not good. So I am afraid for Daniel. How about you, Katie? How you feel about it?
No, I agree with everything you guys are saying. I think he is probably a lock for third place. I see Anika probably going fourth this week. I assume that Ty is going to win his sixth veto in a row. And I think going all the way back to earlier in the season, Daniel's maybe biggest mistake was using that secret veto on Ty. Like he single-handedly kept tying the game all this time because that is the only time that Ty has been vulnerable and Daniel saved him. And now Ty is just he's holding the keys and he's going to be the one that probably eventually cuts Daniel. And it's unfortunate because I think if Ty was out of the house, Daniel would have been able to take a much bigger power position. But no, like you said, Jessica, he's been second to Ty in a lot of comps. Like he's a strong player, but he hasn't had a chance to show that because Ty is always there just besting him in the competition. So he hasn't even really had a chance to make any decisions. I think another huge mistake that he made was that argument with Kuzi, because Kuzi's going to go into the jury house. She's probably already in there saying like, no, everything that it seems like Daniel did, I actually did that. So don't give him any credit for any of the things that he's going to say. And Anika, I think, is just too passive. So unless Daniel wins out, unless Ty doesn't cut Daniel or he wins the veto or Anika wins the veto, then I think he has to win part 1 and 3 or 2 and 3 to actually have some agency in the game so he can have a story. Because right now it just doesn't feel like he has a story for the jury. Like your social connections are great, but I don't think they're going to win you the game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be an up-road battle for him. I'm curious to see how that goes. But
he was also my number 1 draft pick too. So I'm bummed.
I know we're bummed all around now.
I know.
It's you got Daniel and Ty left in your draft?
No, I have Daniel and Claudia.
Daniel and Claudia.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. You have Ty, I think.
No, I don't. I'm eliminated. Renee was my last person. So.
Oh wait, do I have Ty? I have to look.
I think you do.
Then I'm winning.
Josie, yeah, Josie had Claudia and May had Nika. So, all right. Well, speaking of Claudia, that's like the last question we can kind of really chat about here. Is Claudia still have a chance to win either? I think she actually does, believe it or not. But as long as it's not against Ty, like if that makes any sense, I think as long as she's not sitting next to Ty, I think she has a good enough shot to maybe win. It's going to be hard because I feel like when Ty leaves the picture, then those crown members are going to be like, all right, maybe we can vote a crown person again, right? But people like Kuzi, Satina, these like middle votes here, like I think they're going to play a big part here, and I can see them voting Claudia over the other two. But with that being said, she needs to make a good move. Like she's been making pretty bad moves. Her reads, she'll have a good read and then she'll just completely erase it by the end of the week. Unfortunately we only got feed, so we don't know what's going on. I don't know if she's getting wooed by Ty, or maybe she's just going against her better judgment. But yeah, I don't know. Like Katie, do you think Claudia can still win?
I think she has a shot. I think she's good enough at competitions to get herself there, or at least win one of the 2 parts to have a shot in part 3. I think, I hate to keep referencing this exit interview with Renee that isn't up yet, but Renee had a lot of interesting things to say also about Claudia. And I think Claudia plays a really selfish game because she sacrificed both of her strongest allies for what? To work with Ty, who I think that's going to really end up biting her at the end. And I think that's going to take away a lot of her agency, where if she did figure out a way to get rid of Ty or put Ty on the block, at least during the double, people would have had more respect for her. But I think she could win. I think she'll win against Anika. I think she probably has a good shot against Daniel, but if she's at the end with Ty, I don't think she has a shot.
Okay. How about you, Jess?
Yeah, I don't think she does. I think this is, oh gosh, I hate that. For some reason, I'm bringing it back to my season. God knows I don't want to, so I apologize.
There's comparisons.
But there are so many comparisons, and in this case, I gotta compare Claudia to Holly, and it is a clear cut. The comparisons are just so crazy. Even though personally, I saw Holly's gameplay and I saw that she was strong, and she won comps. She was a whole reason, Mickey was, was kept safe for a majority of the time. In this, that's the only reason some people voted for her, myself included. However, Claudia does not have this. Like, she just has bad game move over bad game move over bad game move. And I think that the jury saw either how tumultuous their relationship was, or how weird their showmance was, where they probably would not respect a game move as to choose her. Mind you, a majority of that jury are Crown members, and if there's a Crown member sitting next to her, that Crown member most likely is going to win. Like, I don't know how Claudia would be able to justify that she took out her only 2 alliance members, single-handedly tore down her own alliance to get to those final 2. And if she gets to the final 2 and it is her doing, unless she cuts Ty, which when we look at it, there's no intention of her cutting, Ty. I don't see a path for it again, unless, then maybe she could win if she cuts Ty.
That's like literally the only chance, in my opinion.
It's really the only chance that she has. And but from what we've seen in the diary room sessions, how we've seen some of these dailies go, it just doesn't look like she is literally just she's just looking straight at Ty, and that's it. It's us. I was hoping to think that she was saying this just to butter him up and get her to that next place so she can cut him, but I don't think she has any intention in doing that. So it makes me a little sad, but because I would love to see her, her win as well. But I just don't see it.
The one thing that, I mean, obviously with what we've seen that I've learned about Claudia is that she changes her mind very quickly, right? So like, if she somehow like wins the final HOH and she cuts Ty, the comp slayer, then maybe, I think that's it. But as you said, the Crown members, like, looking at it, like, let's say she can maybe get Kuzi, maybe get Satina, maybe get the 2 girly pops. She need 5 still, right? Ty could be bitter. Jonathan and Hope, they can vote. Well, actually, let me stop, because Dan is still there. Dan is there. So look, there's a chance. There is a slight chance, but like, it's very slight. Like, she really, unfortunately, like, cut off a lot of options. Like, and there was at one point where I was like, Claudia is guaranteed final 2 if she just follows code. And when she didn't put up Ty, like that, at that point, I was like, she just ruined her whole game, man. Really unfortunate, but what are you going to do? Like I agree with you, Jessica. When they start asking her these questions, I'm like, why did you let Ty do the things he did? I think it's going to hurt her game a lot. Like, I don't think she's going to have a good like rebound question to ask. But what are you going to do?
I think you're right. I think the only person I have a question mark about is Anika. Like, I don't think the jury respects Anika's game. Yeah. So I think she could have a shot against Anika. Daniel, I think his social connections are strong enough where he would win, but I think it's a 50-50 toss-up.
Yeah. What are you going to do? But also, the last thing I wanted to address before we start closing is the Wendy's points. We finally saw those. We saw Victoria and Ty. Shout out to them. In the auction, I was like, what is it, Survivor? Like, come on. But we finally got the auction with the Wendy's points. And it was interesting. I mean, obviously Ty basically like got all the good stuff. So he got food. He got
a ridiculous amount of food.
He got a little talk with Ty Song, which was pretty fun to see. And he got a pretty cool power. Like, we were speculating for weeks, but if they're going to give him something at this point, they can't give him like something OP. So he got like 1 minute video to talk to the jury. I think it would have been cool to have him have like a sit down with like one member of the jury of his choice, like what they did with Dan, Ollie, and Big Brother 10. Obviously, that's a pipe dream. But 1 minute to the jury's cool. It would be hilarious if he doesn't make it there, and then it's like, all right, well, we did all this for no reason. But hey, he's there. So that was pretty cool. I mean, did you guys like the auction, or was it kind of like lackluster?
I think the concept is fun. I think I will still say that I was right that it was food. And maybe it wasn't like, all a year's worth of Wendy's, but there was food involved. So I will take a win on that one. But I think they could have given something a little more interesting. I think the reason it wasn't interesting was because Ty had so many points. So it's like no one else could really do anything with this stuff. No one was really like outbidding. So I think the concept was fun, but I think the execution wasn't that great.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, the fact that we knew that he had all of these points is like he's just gonna outbid. It was like just give him all of it. Just give it to him. Very surprised that he didn't want to bid to I don't know, to talk to anybody. He's so stone cold. It's just I think, dude, you had all the points to literally just take it away from all of them, and I think you still had 20,000 points to spare.
Yeah.
Like, bro, like you literally could have had it all.
Right.
I mean, I selfishly love to see Friends. So seeing Queen Spicy V there, it was just, I loved it for her. It was really fun. She's always fun to watch on TV. And I don't know, I guess it was fun for a Final Five moment, because when do we see something like that at a Final Five moment? It was actually better than some other, fillers that they've had in the past. So
yeah. It was also fun to see Spicy V in person with them. I feel like you don't usually get like an outside person in the Big Brother house with people. Like, I don't know. That was kind of fun just to see her back in the house, and
especially after COVID, right? Like, that's something that's kind of new. I know that we had like four, pretty much 4 or 5 returning members.
Oh, for the hosting,
for the hosting comps and such. Yeah, so we pretty much had all of the last season, like 20, visit us at some point in time, and I really like that, because when you're in the house, like you literally see zero people, like nobody. You will get excited if you see a hand come out of the ground and you're just like, what?
I'm sure. Yeah.
Like it could be production's hand looking for like a mic or something, and you're just like, oh my God, So I know that for them, that's like a big moment of just having other physical interactions with people. But it's fun. It's nice to see.
Yeah.
It's also, now that I'm thinking about it, that's like what, the third Spicy V guest appearance in like 2 seasons. Like,
girl is hot. Girl is she brings it every time. And in person, like, I mean, that is her. She's just, I've had the pleasure of like seeing her a few times outside of just like in person. That's what I was gonna say. I was like, I've met her in person a few times, and she's just a joy. Like, serious, she's so much fun. So I know that they really loved like having her around. I can only imagine what she was saying, like when the cameras weren't rolling.
Oh, I'm sure.
In the background, it was probably she was probably cracking jokes the whole time. She's great. I love her.
Yeah, she's an icon. She's gonna be around for a while. I think she's like one of those people that makes a lasting mark.
All right. So do we have anything else we want to talk about, or are we ready to close, guys?
We didn't really talk too much about Anika.
I mean, okay.
It's like,
I kind of did earlier, but like, there's not a lot to talk about other than like HOH here, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I will say, I had 2 people. Well, I felt like when you're doing cast, like the drafts and stuff in the beginning of the season, I don't know if this happened to y'all, but it was really hard for us because we thought everybody was first boot. We're like, everybody has first boot vibes. Like, I don't know who I'm going to pick, but I will confidently say that I had Anika and Renee as my first boots. So
did we, I think. They were our last 2 picks, I think.
Yeah, they were kind of, nobody would really wanted to touch them just based on, their bios, and like Anika probably knows the very least out of everybody of how to play this game. But in her famous words, she said, how hard can it be? And it's like, well, I guess, girl, your final 4 is really how hard could it be? I don't think she was the idea or the mentality that she knew nothing really did help her get far. And it does. Like, remember in my season, I was always telling people that I didn't know a goddamn thing. So, you know, it definitely, or tried to make my threat level go down. But the fact that people don't see her as a threat, I mean, it would be an easy time right now to get rid of her, but only because she can't get past. It's almost like she feels, obviously, a lot of bitterness toward Ty because of him using the veto when he said he wasn't going to. Which, girl, like, come on, you should have known that he was going to. That's your fault, not his, you know. But the fact that she can't hone that in and play nice and just tell him what he wants to hear is really her downfall here, because now that's probably why Ty wouldn't take her, knowing that she wouldn't pick him, you know, that she wouldn't pick him to go to a final 2. He has it pretty much sat here. So, you know, Daniel will take him, Claudia would take him. At least that's what we think. Or that's what he thinks, you know. But Anika, I don't know. She's Victoria of the season. She's the Victoria of the season, you know.
Yeah.
It's a very easy break. I mean, she had some good reads in the house. So I was like, at first I was just like, okay, she's actually reading these people pretty correctly. I'm very surprised at how fast she's catching on, but she didn't have any real legit strategy.
It feels like she was always like the sidekick for everybody. It was either Kuzi or Daniel's sidekick. I like, you know, I just never really saw her at the forefront really making any decisions for herself, you know. And you know, she's there. She's nice though. I like to see, like, every time Kuzi was fighting, she would back her up. I thought that was hilarious. Or the Santina fight was funny too. You know, I like Anika. She was fun.
I like her too. She was fun to watch, and she did impress me. I agree with you, Jess. Like, she caught on pretty quickly, and we said that a couple of, you know, back in the beginning of the season on the podcast. I know we were saying, like, her game sense is actually pretty good, given that she knew literally nothing heading into the season. And here I said, how hard could it be? And here she is. She's at 4, and I think if she maybe put Ty on the block, she probably could have gotten, well, maybe it would have still ended up with Renee, but if she put Claudia and Ty up on the block next to each other, she could have gotten Claudia out. I don't know why she wouldn't have just done that. So it's unfortunate. I don't think she's going to be with us for much longer. My prediction is that she's the next one to leave.
Yeah, it gets me upset, but at the same time, it's just like, how do you not see this? I don't, again, with that being said, I don't blame Anika because she knows nothing about the game. It's totally on Daniel being her number 1 and her final 2 that should have seen this coming. Like, you need to put up Ty, because if you don't, then we have no chance of getting out Claudia, because I'll be on the block. You know, I could potentially be on the block. He could take her down. Like, so many scenarios that they could have ran, like, and they have more than enough time to talk about this. It's not like, oh, we just randomly, you know, figured this out, or we only had a few minutes, like in the double eviction with Claudia. No, Anika had a whole week's HOH, not 17 seconds, a whole week of HOH. So it's really
frustrating, because it's like, when you think about it, I'm even thinking about it right now, like, if she put Claudia up next to Ty wins. Ty would obviously take himself down. Even if Ty votes for Renee to go, Daniel could force a tie, and then Anika would have the deciding vote to get out Claudia. They had all the power, and they just handed it to Ty, and it's just so frustrating. You're right that Daniel wasn't like, we got this. No matter what happens, we can do this. Unless Claudia wins the veto, like, we're good. And it was an individually timed veto, so he couldn't have even thrown it to her. So it's frustrating. It's frustrating that Daniel didn't kind of like drill that into her a little bit more. And if he did, it's frustrating that she was stubborn enough not to follow the advice.
Absolutely.
All right. Well,
again, so I don't even think it's like Ty's gonna win, probably, most likely. I would probably give it like 90%, but yeah, I think he's purely winning just based on people's bad decisions, not his great gameplay. I mean, again, comp beasts, but to me, I as a juror do not pick on competitions, because competitions can be some type of a crapshoot. And if you are like a physical, if you are a physical player, then the odds are pretty much to your favor that you're winning these. It's not impressive that you're a physical person playing a physical comp. That's not what wins these, like a winner to me. That's not a winner. To me, I want to see a little bit of everything. But unfortunately, nobody else is playing to win. So give it to Ty. Give it to Ty.
The thing I find so interesting, not to go too deep back into Ty, but the thing that I do feel like Ty has a great story for the end. Like, he was about to walk out of the house with Zach. He turned around, he got saved on the block with the secret veto, and then he was public enemy number 1, has been playing by himself the whole time, won 5 vetoes in a row, and now everybody wants to work with him. It's like, why wouldn't you vote for Ty? I mean, like, he totally flipped the narrative about himself. Even if people don't really like him personally, which it seems like they kind of do, maybe, that, you can't really deny that, especially when you're up against the other 3 people that are left in the house. And Daniel, I think, is great. I just wish we saw more.
Yeah, I constantly seeing posts of people are like, he's not really a good representation of the season. I'm like, yeah. I mean, if we're going based off of like, all right, Kevin was a representation of his season, Ty was a representation of his season. I can't even say Ty is, I was talking about Tyshawn. I can't even say that Ty this season is necessarily a bad representation of the season. This season is completely cracked and mess. Like, and this guy is a mess. Like, like perfect representation. The guy who was about to leave the house after kind of trying to like run the game at the beginning and failed tremendously, may I say. He went from the sidekick to like the main guy that everyone didn't like when Zach left, and he just kept going and going and going. He went into the girly pops, blew that up. He got his connect with the crown. Like, the fact that he was in the room when like Hope was blocking it off, he still was with everybody. And then he messed that up. Jonathan and Hope, they both didn't care for him. He survived past them. Like, he's been through like almost every single fight. He even gassed up the one fight with Renee and who was it? Satino?
And Anika?
Anika. There was, oh my God.
There's so many.
Yeah. So like, I can't even get me, like, he, if he wins, like, he has a story. Like, I don't really agree with that take. So,
I mean, I think he has a story. I like, if you're going, I mean, personally, I don't agree with the way he's gone about it. I don't think it's impressive. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think that every situation he's been in, it was not from a strategic level. It was purely on a manipulative and gaslighting and and blackmailing type of level. Like, I mean, he even tried to blackmail production, when you do something like that, I'm like even surprised that he's still in the house, to be quite honest. Like, you literally threatened to walk out and you said, psych, I'm coming back in, and they still let you. Like, dude, really, at this point, you really should have been gone. So like, as in terms of respect, I
totally forgot about that. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, like, I mean, I think there's a lot. Well, we all have big brother brain when it comes to, and this is what they don't see it either, because they're lost in, when you're in the house, you just have this lost sense of trauma. Like, it's like it happens to you. It happens to you and you get mad, but you quickly remember that you're still in a game and you have to move past it. And you have to move past it quick, or else you're kind of screwed. You have to be adaptable and you have to be, rolling with the punches. And then you kind of take that trauma and you kind of like bury it somewhere, or that anger, whatever you don't like, you bury it deep. And what I'm telling you is that these people coming out of the house, they're going to be in therapy for a very, very long time. I feel really bad for some of these people coming out and seeing, what might have been said about them, or, or the what they're going to get coming out. Luckily, it might not be a lot because, there's no live feeds. So maybe that was the exact reason
they got lucky.
Why they did it. They did get very, very lucky, because I think we would have seen something completely different had we been watching live feeds. Maybe we would have like hated Ty, even more, maybe he doesn't, maybe we would think that he was justified in like some of the things that he said because someone said something to him. Like there's just like all of these things, but I don't know. It, to me, as soon as you're saying like, no, I have this, I'm gonna blackmail this person and I'm going to force production's hand, I'm like, dude, this isn't even the game. Like, this is just the person you are. So kudos to him. Kudos to him because he got away with it. I don't know so much of an underdog story. I just think he's a good gaslighter, a good manipulator in a bad way, not a Kevin Jacobs kind of way, where he's very intentional. And I don't think he, from what I saw, I don't think he ever really disrespected anybody to a level where, where you're like, oh no, you look at it and you're like, this is genius. Like he's getting away with this, but it's so good the way he manipulated it, where he didn't have to get personal. Like this dude got personal, dude got mad personal. So it's just like, oh, not my type of gameplay, but I know some people are okay with that because Big Brother doesn't really have rules, right? So,
no, I totally forgot about that whole production thing. I'm thinking about that.
Yeah, I mean, that was the one thing, and some people, they do like, I do respect the game, and I know it's hard, and I know people, quit for reasons, beyond their control, and other people, like, it's a hard game, I would lie to say if people in my season didn't try to quit, it happens, but there's just, as a player and as a watcher, like, and a big fan, some people just take that into account. Like I respect the game. And I think that someone who, he just didn't look like he even respected the game, and to me, it's just like, oh, you're going to give this win to someone who doesn't even respect how the game is played, because he was going to walk out if he didn't get his way. And, and he blackmailed someone to get him kicked out. I mean, like, this is all like grimy shit, but
yeah.
The funny thing is that Zach would say that they were respecting the game so much that they wanted to keep the integrity of the game. That's the way that Zach has at least been spinning it, based on what I've seen on Twitter and seen in spaces. So I think like I don't know about Ty. I don't think Ty, that we've really seen him speak on the letter or the quitting. I don't know if that's been in really dailies or anything. Yeah, like I mean, we did see him go like, "This is a game show," and then just like turn around and go back inside. So yeah. But that's kind of like the same narrative a little bit that Zach is trying to spin, but like in the opposite direction. But obviously, we know that the blackmail just didn't work. And
yeah,
he just walked. Yeah,
I don't know Zach, but like as someone who knows Zach's background a little bit more than Ty's background in terms of where he is of the game, I think the fact that Zach is good friends with Emmett from season 1 had a lot more of that type of Big Brother 1 mentality of just like, I'm trying to understand the game a little bit more. Maybe he had a little bit more respect for the game than Ty. I don't know. He had not a mentor in Emmett, because I don't know how much Emmett really like talked to him about it, but he had some type of that background. Maybe what Zach said is correct. I'm
not defending Zach. I think he has his own mentality of like what happened in the house, and he would say like, or he has been saying, there's no integrity. This is respecting, and I think it's just like such a wild excuse, because Jess, I think you're right. Like, blackmailing production is taking all the integrity out of the game, because you're trying to, twist the narrative of the entire show to make it fit you, and use like things that are outside of the rules, it feels like, to manipulate the situation, which is pretty gross. I think there are some things that Ty has done that are getting a lot of hate that aren't his fault. And since the beginning, I've been like, the way this man speaks to people is crazy. Like, he's a total asshole. He's super arrogant. But I do think there are things like people are blaming him for Claudia not putting on the block. And I'm like, that's not really Ty's fault. That's her fault. Like, she should have done that. That's her fault. Same with Anika and him using the veto on Claudia after he lied to Anika. Like, that's within the game, and that's him playing the game. And it's unfortunate, like, because he is kind of a jerk. But I think people are kind of conflating a little bit of like his attitude and some of the moves, so I'll put like in quotes moves, that he's made that were good for his game.
Yeah.
It feels like there's two separate Ties. There's like, you know, the Ty who's a good competitor and who people are just, and I don't even know if we can give credit to Ty for that, because it's like people are just giving him these opportunities to just make them all look stupid. And it's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. But yeah, we extended that 20 minutes. That was fun. I like that. But Jessica literally said before the pod, like, I don't know how long this is gonna go. You know, passionate people can, you know, you're right.
Yep.
But that is our podcast for today. So thank you everybody for listening. If you are very interested in supporting us, please follow our social media pages. You can like, comment, and subscribe. It helps us with the algorithm. You can find all of our social media pages on the screen. If you're listening on one of our audio platforms, you can rate it 5 stars. We're only 5. If it's anything lower than that, just don't rate it. Just wait till you hear something that you do like. But Jessica, thank you so much for coming on. As we, you know, I know we've been trying to lock this up for a little bit, but I'm glad we finally got it in there, you know. So
I'm glad. Anytime. I love, you know, I love the game. I love talking about it. So I can't wait for this all to be done and we go on to bigger and better things. BB25, baby, because
with feeds.
Hopefully better than last season, okay. But where can people find you? What are you getting into?
People can find me on Twitter, on Instagram, I don't know, like TikTok, anywhere, J Milagros Plus. Also, if you're looking for another podcast to listen to, we have our recap from the veto from this past Tuesday up with Braden White. And that is Girl Let's Agree to Disagree, or GLATD for short. Yeah.
And I'll make sure it's linked in the description.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here, Jess. This was a ton of fun.
Thank you. Same.
She'll be back.
Oh, absolutely. Hopefully it's to talk about, I don't know, more mess, but with a different cast.
Yeah.
Katie, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at RealSimKatie. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/RealSimKatie with an underscore. And you can find me here and there on Sound Podcasts, wherever I pop up. Nothing super consistent these days, but maybe I'll pop up talking about Real Housewives. Maybe I'll pop up talking about Star Wars. You never know. So, yeah, that's me.
Do you guys recap RuPaul? Do you guys do Drag Race?
That is our only show right now where I cannot get a consistent host for. It's sick.
I know we've talked about it so many times, but we can't find someone to do it consistently.
Like literally, All Stars is next week.
I know. I need
to
find
I know
out.
it's hard too.
We'll figure that out. Hopefully, I you know, this is like year 3, and I keep trying to get a RuPaul Drag Race host, and I can't find one to stick, man. It's sick. But we're gonna try. But yeah. And lastly, you can find me at 8Ball Bangers on all social media platforms. We are done next week, so I believe, you know, the Renee X interview will come out either tonight or tomorrow. Any remaining X interviews come out next week. For bounce checks for the recap, we're going to do what we did last year. So we're going to take a week off just to kind of like, you know, see what the wire is looking like. So we have a lot more to discuss than just the show. And because we don't have feeds this time, you know, so we want some stuff to talk about. And then we will do a season review the week after. So this is our last podcast until like 2 weeks from now, but we will see X interviews with everybody left in the game and hopefully the winner, depending who it is. But yeah, so until next week, I'm Isaiah. Have a good one. Bye.